Hey, it's Mr. Han here. Here are today's notes on angles and common angles and their relationships. So, we're going to be talking about some basic angles here. And before we even get started, I want you to think back on transformations. And when we had transformations, we had these shapes and we would rotate them and we would slide them, right? We would flip them. And I want you to remember when we rotated these shapes, we rotated them 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 270 degrees, and 360 degrees. So in your head, I want you to be thinking 90 degrees and 180 degrees. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And if you think about Pythagorean theorem, we've been working with triangles and they have a little right angle, which means 90 degrees. So these are the numbers that we're going to be working with. So as we have learned from transformation, some common angles to know are multiples of 90. Okay, that's what I'm referring to right here. So when I read this right here, oh, that's not a good highlighter. When I read this right here, it's talking about 90 degrees. So when we have Pythagorean theorem, when we have transformations, that's what we're talking about. I want you to be thinking about that. So here, the first type of angle we're going to be talking about are complementary angles. Now, I want you to think complementary angles starts with what letter, right? It starts with the C. And when complementary angles are when two angles add up to be 90 degrees. Okay, so together they make a corner. So C, I want you to think corner. Okay, and if you think of any corner of the room, if I turn around to any corner of the room, there's a 90-degree angle, 90-degree angle, right? 90-degree angle, 90-degree angle. So corner, think of a 90-degree angle. Complementary angles starts with the C. So complementary angles is when we have two angles and we add them together. So we're going to have angle 1, angle 2, and when we add them together, they have a total of 90. So take a look right here. We have this first angle, 27, and the second angle, 63, right? If we add 27 and 63, they add up to 90. Okay, so what we can say is that the relationship between these two angles is that they are complementary angles. So that's the first thing we are talking about. You will see something like this where you have I'm just trying to move this over here. Okay, get it smaller. What you're going to see is you're going to see two angles that add up to 90. So you're going to see something like this where it's going to say, let's say this is 40 degrees, this is x. Okay, so these two angles together have a total of 90 degrees. X plus 40 is, they have this relationship called complementary. The next type of relationship we're going to be talking about is supplementary angles. Okay, now supplementary angles, okay, is when two angles add up to 180 degrees. Together, they make a straight line. I'm going to use the same color. All right. So right here, we can see that there are two angles, and they're going to make a straight line. Right. We'll try to copy this right here. So let's just use that same line. Okay. So, oh no, that's a bummer. I'm gonna have to move the whole thing. Okay. So this is 70 degrees, and this is 110 degrees. So these two angles together create a straight line. So we have 70 degrees right here and 110 degrees. And if we add them together, they're going to have a total of 180 degrees. And together they make a straight line. So these are relationships that you need to learn. Okay. The easiest way you can learn is complementary corner, C, right? 90 degrees. Supplementary, S, straight. So I want you to start saying these if you can right here. Just say the word supplementary, complementary. All right, these are words that you're going to be hearing and you need to learn. The next type of angle is vertical angles. So that's when we have two lines that intersect, okay? And it's going to be the two angles that are across from each other, so opposite angles. So here, You've seen lines intersecting in systems of equations, okay? It's when we have two lines that intersect, okay? The two angles opposite each other, okay? Oh, let me use this color, right? Opposite each other, they are going to be congruent, meaning that they are same shape, same size, so they're going to have, right, the same exact distance. So if this is a 95-degree angle right here, we can say that this is a 95-degree angle. That's the relationship that vertical angles have. Now, I don't have an easy way to remember vertical angles. I don't have like a V word for vertical angles, but that's the relationship. When they are opposite each other, just like this, right? When there's two lines that intersect, either the top and the bottom, right, are congruent, or it's the one on the right and the left, or I don't know how it works for you, it's mirrored, right? The ones on the sides, okay, they are congruent. They are the same. Okay, so right here, vertical angles. When two lines intersect, opposite angles are congruent or equal. So we could see another one right here. It's a little bit different, right, than the first one, but angles, and when we read this, I want you to be able to recognize, right, that angles AEB, that means you're going to start at A, go to E, then go to B. All right, so AEB, right, is congruent to DEC. So you're going to start at D, go to E, and go to C. So that's how we read these angles. Okay, and this equal sign with the squiggly means congruent, that they are the same. So what we're saying here, and actually I want to use purple, okay, for this one, is that this angle is going to be the same as that angle, 150. They're both 150. And that means that this right here is going to be the same as that, okay? And we could figure that angle out by saying, oh, this is a straight line right here, right? This is a straight line, so it's going to be 180 minus 150. That gives us 30 right here, 30 right here. Okay, and so that's the kind of relationship, that's the kind of stuff we're going to be working with right here. If we know these three relationships, okay, we're going to be able to kind of work with these angles, and it's like a puzzle. We're going to find out what the missing angle is. So here, these practice problems, what we're going to do is we're going to name the relationship, and then we're going to determine the value of x. So here, the first example we have, this relationship that we have between 117 degrees and x, okay, is a straight line, right? And when there's a straight line, what we can say is that they are supplementary. All right, so I'm going to go ahead under the relationship. Right here, I'm going to say that they're supplementary angles. Okay. So that's saying that these two angles have a relationship. When you add them together, they're going to equal 180. So that means that they're going to equal 180 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to take these two distances. I'm going to take 117 and x. So I'm going to add these two angles, plus x equals, they have a relationship. When you add them together, they equal 180 degrees. Okay, and then here I'm just going to solve for x. Minus 117 minus 117, and x equals, I'm actually going to grab my calculator here. I'm going to say 180 minus 117. I get 63. So x equals 63. And we just solved for this missing distance. X is 63 degrees. And that makes sense, right? If I take these two angles, if I add them together, 117, 100, so I'm going to pull out my calculator, clear it all. 117 plus 63, it should add up to 180. Okay, so this is a supplementary angle. This is a relationship that we have between x and 117. This next one, right? You can see that they create a straight line. Okay, so here is a straight line. So we can be thinking supplementary, right? But one thing I want you to notice is that right here, right? What do you see? You probably see a crotch, right? You see this 90-degree angle. So that means that this is 90, okay? But that means that the remaining, this right here, also has to equal 90 degrees. Okay, so we could say that the relationship between 2x and 58, right there, they're complementary. They create a 90-degree angle. So I know I might have confused you saying, oh, straight line. But what I really want you to look at is the relationship right here. I'm going over it again. Right here, okay? So this 90 degrees, I want you to look at that, okay? And I want you to see 2x and 58, what they do is they create complementary angles. So right here, the relationship is complementary angles. Okay, so here 2x plus 58 degrees is going to, if we add those together, they're going to have a total distance of 90. All right, here I'm going to solve for x. Minus 58 minus 58. 90 minus 58 is 32. 2x equals 32. Divide both sides by 2. And x equals 16. So 16 degrees. This right here, 1x is 16 degrees. That means that this is going to be 32, right? So x equals 16 degrees. We're using our knowledge, right, of complementary and supplementary. All you need to know is complementary 90 degrees corner, supplementary straight 180 degrees. And right now we're naming the relationships. Here, we have two lines that intersect, and we're saying the top and the bottom, right, that there's a relationship there. And the relationship that they have is that they're equal. Right? This is what we're going to call, let me see what color I used. I'll use purple. Okay. So right here, these are vertical angles. So what we can say about these two is that they're equal. We're going to say that the top and the bottom are equal. So 124 equals 4x plus 4. And all we need to do here is get x by itself. So let's go ahead and do that. Subtract 4, subtract 4. Oops. We have 4x equals 120. Divide both sides by 4. And x equals 30 degrees. So we just solved for x. X here is 30 degrees. So that means it's going to be 4 times 30 plus 4. Right? 4 times 30 is 120 plus 4 is 124. So we can see that this right here, 124, is the same thing as this right here. Okay? All right. So here we have these two angles, and they're not opposite of each other, so they're not vertical angles, right? But they are next to each other. And what we can, I'm going to give you a vocabulary word. It's called, they are adjacent. And all that means is that they're next to each other, okay? Now, there isn't a specific relationship when they're adjacent, but what we do know is that these two angles together create a 180 degrees. Why? Because this is a straight line. And what we could say about straight lines is that they have a supplementary relationship. So supplementary angles. And what we're going to do here is we're going to solve for x. We're going to make it equal 180 when we add those two together, because that's the relationship that they have. So 124 plus 4x plus 4, that's all going to equal 180. Okay. Now I'm going to combine like terms. I'm going to combine these two. 128 plus 4x equals 180. Get x by itself. 128 minus 128. 4x equals 180 minus 128, and I get 52. Divide both sides by 4. 52 divided by 4, and I get the answer 13. So x equals 13. Okay. Oh boy, it froze. This happens to me. Notability is like that sometimes. Sorry about that. So come back down here. The relationship that these two angles have are that they are supplementary. Okay, they create a straight line, and supplementary is straight. I think they add up to 180 degrees. Here we have two angles. They're opposite each other, right? So we're going to say that they are vertical angles. And when they are vertical angles, oh, that's no bueno. Rewrite that. Vertical angles, right? And when we have vertical angles, they are congruent, okay? So I'm going to say that they are equal. 4x equals 22, divide both sides by 4, and x equals 22 divided by 4 is 5.5. Okay. This last one, they are creating a 90-degree angle. They create a corner, right? So when they're a corner, we could call it complementary. Right? And they equal 90 degrees. So we're going to take 3x plus 1, and we're going to add 14, and that's going to equal 90 degrees. Let's combine like terms. 3x plus 15 equals 90. Subtract 15 from both sides. 3x equals 90 minus 15 is 75, and divide both sides by 3. Think of quarters. X equals 25. Okay? So by knowing these relationships, right? First of all, we're learning the names. That's one of the important things we're doing right now. But the other thing we're doing is we're knowing complementary create 90-degree angles, right? Supplementary create 180 degree, and vertical means that they are opposites are equal. Okay, hopefully that's something you can remember. Best of luck.